Good evening. I call the meeting to order. Reverend Benson is on the phone, and Reverend Kirkpatrick can't be here tonight.
I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. 8-0, thank you. Next up is John H. Crowder Service Award.
Good evening. For over 3 decades, John H. Crowder dedicated his life to supporting the youth of Union County. In honor of his enduring contributions and lasting impact, the Union County Board of Education presents the John H. Crowder Service Award every month to recognize exceptional high school students who are actively contributing to their school and community. Recipients of this award excel academically and possess a well-established track record of community involvement. Tonight, we award the John H. Crowder Service Award for April to a Parkwood High senior. Katrina Meyer embodies a blend of leadership, academic excellence, and character. She has consistently pushed herself with honors and advanced placement courses. Even in her last semester, she is tackling 3 AP classes, an honors class, and an extra college course. She actively involved in her school's leadership, serving on the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council, and as a senior leader in the Ambassadors Program. Additionally, she holds positions as a Beta Club officer and vice president of the National Honor Society. Katrina, the basketball team's head captain, demonstrates effective leadership, teamwork, sportsmanship. Despite her reserved nature, she shows assertiveness and adeptly handles situations. She excels at prioritizing tasks and consistently meeting commitments. Teachers describe her as genuinely kind and driven by doing what's right. Katrina has served the community by participating in pancake breakfasts, collecting draft for the school's food pantry and children's shelter, tutoring math, organizing cleanups, donating toys to sick children at Levine's Children's Hospital, assisting at Waxhaw Elementary School's field day, and supervising at the Union County Special Olympics. She always seeks out opportunities to help those in need. Katrina plans to study pre-med at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill to become an anesthesiologist. Good job. Board members, please join me in congratulating Katrina Meyer on the April 2024 recipient of the John H. Crowder Service Award.
Next up is. Yes, thank you.
Good evening. We are thrilled to shine a spotlight on 2 remarkable individuals who have earned the title of UCPS Influencers for April 2024. This program honors the enthusiasm, commitment, outstanding work ethic of UCPS staff members who consistently put in extra effort each day. What makes this recognition special is that it's the result of nominations from our staff, students, families, and community members. These are the people who see firsthand the positive impact these employees have on students and their peers. I am honored to present Kathy Hess-Grove, a language arts teacher at Sun Valley Middle, and Danita Starnes, a bookkeeper at Rockrest Elementary. I will now invite the nominators to the podium to read the submission and recognize their honorees' accomplishments. Ms. Solomon, could you please come up?
Good evening. I'm Christina Solomon, the mother of a student at Sun Valley Middle. Mrs. Hesgrove, please come forward. Thank you. And Mrs. Hesgrove demonstrates dedication, compassion, and commitment to her students' academic and personal growth. From the moment my son entered her classroom, she has gone above and beyond to ensure his success. Her teaching style is actually effective, and her passion for teaching is evident, and her lessons accommodate different learning styles and focus on their strengths to ensure they succeed. Language arts has definitely proven to be a more challenging subject for my son, so she has made a huge difference in him. Like, he's actually excited to come home and show me his grades now, which is amazing. So she's encouraging, genuinely cares for her students. She consistently prioritizes individualized attention, providing the constructive feedback and guidance that my son needs. As a mother, that's an invaluable quality in a teacher. In addition, her approachability and open communication have created a trusting relationship with my son and with our entire family. Ms. Hesgrove portrays the qualities of an outstanding educator. I wholeheartedly believe she deserves recognition for her exceptional contributions to education and the profound impact she has on the lives of her students. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. I'm Megan Gatilius, an exceptional children's resource teacher at Rockrest Elementary. Ms. Starnes, will you please come forward and join me at the podium? Danita, as she is so passionately known by everyone, we don't do formalities, always goes out of her way to make sure that the entire staff knows their worth. She goes above and beyond her job title every day. We don't really know what her job title should be because we don't know. She does it all. She makes handmade gifts and treats for everyone when they need a pick-me-up. She decorates our entire school, and she even ropes her mother into helping us do that, and keeps them there all hours of the night. She provides all the snacks for the meetings and comes up with creative themes and snack ideas and just all kinds of ways to incorporate that we are a team and that we all matter. She's always ready to lend an ear. And to anyone that needs to talk, and she is a ray of sunshine all the time, and we are so thankful and blessed to know her.
I will now read the UCPS Influencers Proclamation from the Board of Education and Dr. Houlihan. Whereas the Union County Board of Education values the hard work of each employee within the district. Whereas performance is an essential part of district operations. Whereas Kathy Hess-Grove and Danita Starnes exemplify the performance, dedication, and teamwork essential to the success of the district and its students. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Education for Union County Public Schools, and Dr. Andrew G. Houlihan, Superintendent, hereby proclaim Kathy Hess-Grove and Danita Starnes as the UCPS influencers for the month of April 2024. Congratulations.
Next up is public comments. At every regular meeting of the board, up to 60 minutes have been allotted for public comments. The board will not respond to public comments. However, a member may ask that the chair obtain clarification. Residents, parents, students, and employees of the district will receive priority on the list of speakers. If a speaker is not present when his or her name is called, the opportunity to speak will be considered waived. Only persons signed up may speak. Speakers may not give their time to another person or have someone speak on their behalf. Speakers may address the board for a maximum of 3 minutes. The board will not hear in open session complaints about the performance of school personnel, personnel issues, confidential student issues. Should a speaker wish to seek information or share items that may not be shared during public comments, members of UCPS cabinet staff are able to address your concerns or provide information. Cabinet staff members are seated at the table to my left. So, first person, Harold Schumacher. Still wrong, right? Okay, yep.
That's all right.
One day I'm going to say it right.
We'll send you for remedial education on that. I want to ask this board tonight to adopt a resolution asking the Catawba River Water Project and Lancaster Water and Sewer to follow Union County's Board of Commissioners lead on ending water fluoridation for all Union County. The Union County decision affects 1/3 of the water here. Catawba controls the other 2/3. I want to focus on one particular area, the cognitive injury that's caused. I believe that should be of great concern to you as a school board. But let me quickly cover 2 other points. First, the argument that is good for tooth decay has never been scientifically proven. What I mean is, no clinical randomized trial has ever been done to prove it effective or safe. All you have to do is look at states that mandate it, like Kentucky, who have some of the worst tooth decay in the nation. If it worked, you'd see a positive effect in Kentucky, but you don't. Second, almost no one seems to know the source, not dentists, not even the people that work in the water department. It is a toxic industrial waste slurry that comes from the phosphate fertilizer industry called hydrofossilic acid. It is untreated and contains lead, arsenic, aluminum, as well as fluoride, which helps explain why all of the hundreds of studies out in the last 20 years are all around negative health effects. I want to focus on the cognitive effects. In 2006, the National Research Council reviewed the fluoride standard of the EPA. They documented the changes seen in brain laboratory animals. They flagged the neurotoxicity of fluoride as an endpoint of concern that needed much more attention. Follow-on studies have found elevated fluoride exposure in early life leads to permanent decline in cognitive function. At this point, they should have ended water fluoridation, but instead they reduced the recommended dosage and suggested more research, which leads us to the 2012 NIH-funded birth cohort studies to understand the effect of low levels of fluoride ingested by pregnant women and how that exposure led to lower IQ and ADHD in their children. Fluoridation should have ended there, but it didn't. And that lack of action was the basis of the 6-year lawsuit against the EPA, still going. In 2017, the National Toxicology Program started the most exhaustive review ever done on fluoride exposures linked to cognitive decline. They confirmed 52 of 72 studies reviewed, which showed a consistent association between fluoride exposure and reduction in IQ of between 5 and 7 points. Under oath, the CDC Director of Oral Health admitted the CDC accepts these studies. The subject matter expert on fluoride for the EPA admitted freely that water fluoridation policies should be reassessed everywhere. The judge in the lawsuit made this stunning comment. There is unanimous agreement that fluoride causes harm. A 5-point drop in IQ translates into a doubling of the intellectually disabled. It would be hard to find a more worthy issue for you to take up. This would also lead to a long-term reduction in the funding required for special education needs. The labor union that represents the scientists at the EPA has publicly called for an end to fluoridation. There is a divide between government scientists and government policymakers. I hope you'll make a public statement as well in support of ending fluoridation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up is Abigail Prado.
Good evening. In 1647, the Massachusetts Bay Colony passed the Old Deluder Satan Act. It was the first education-related act ever passed in the colonies, and it created the foundation for the American public school system. The Puritans placed great value in literacy. They believed that all individuals should be taught to read so that they could read and interpret the Bible for themselves, and thus be better prepared to resist the deceptions and temptations of the devil. The Puritans used simple phonics-based primers and taught children how to read by using short, value-based stories. During this period, children learned to read quickly and well. A century later, this simple and effective educational system produced our country's founding fathers, arguably one of the most intelligent, well-read, and articulate generations our country has ever known. Unfortunately, our current public schools have deviated greatly from this model, and the results are shocking. In 2003, the National Assessment for Adult Literacy conducted a nationwide research study and found that 54% of Americans were functionally illiterate. In layman's terms, this meant that there were 130 million Americans who were unable to read at a sixth grade level. So where did it all go wrong? How did we go from a nation of avid readers and writers to a nation where more than half of the population struggled with basic reading skills? I could tell you all about how John Dewey hijacked our public school system in order to indoctrinate American children with socialist ideas, but I only have 3 minutes. However, I will say that John Dewey was very successful. Today, every American child attending public school is being indoctrinated by Dewey's authoritarian beliefs, often by well-intentioned teachers who do not realize the dangers of the socialist-based curriculum they are being forced to teach. Polls consistently show that over half of American high school students identify as socialist, and as many as 70% state that they would vote for a socialist candidate. Our educational system is not broken. Unfortunately, it is working exactly as intended. Instead of raising our children to be independent thinkers, we are raising them to be cogs in the machine, obedient workers for the supposed socialist utopia. Our public schools don't need our support. They need a complete ideological overhaul. This board has always fought for the best interest of its students. UCPS was one of the first school districts in the country to end mandated masking in schools, and one of the first school districts that allowed our kids to return to in-person learning during the COVID-19 hysteria. UCPS even made a return to phonics-based reading education long before the rest of the state saw the need. I truly believe UCPS can radically change the direction of public education by filtering all decisions through the lens of going back to the basics of a classical education. We need to classically educate our children so that we can teach them how to think, not what to think. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Jen Sanders.
Hi, everyone. I'm getting over bronchitis, so I might sound really funny. I apologize. I sound like a duck underwater, actually. Okay. So, North Carolina legislators are currently discussing adding $300 million more on top of the existing $500 million already allotted towards the voucher program. That is just shy of $1 billion of our tax money that should be going to public education, to the exact institution you guys are elected to protect and serve. According to Speaker Tim Moore, he said, quote, "But we have the money. The savings reserve has money set aside. This money, voucher money, goes to private and religious schools, like the 1 million plus that the Bible Baptist Tabernacle Church in Monroe, who publicly supports rape and corporal punishment, as well as Shining Light, who gets $2.1 million a year in voucher money." Vouchers were designed to help our lower income families, many from our BIPOC communities, to have an equal opportunity for fair education. Since most Title I schools and underfunded ones are in poorer communities, who do you think benefits from these programs? Well, 55% of the voucher programs that were just filed make over $115,000 a year, the families. 25% of the applicants make over $250,000 a year. So those families are taking money from the underprivileged and underfunded families that are struggling. Does this seem fair? Does this make sense? Do you know that 1 in 9 teachers have left the profession in North Carolina in this last year? And it's a free fall. Who knows what's going to happen in June? Instead of recruiting and retaining teachers, our Republican legislators have dismantled the programs. We are ranked number 46 for starting teacher pay. let's not even talk about what that does for veteran teachers. Maybe let's focus on public education and less about all the other things like book banning and fluoride in the water. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Reagan Shaw.
As Jen said, $300 million is the figure that the NCGOP are now looking to add to the already burgeoning private school voucher program. $300 million, guys. Where is that money for our public schools here in Union? A bunch of you seem to think that our schools are already fully funded. That would explain why you are not willing to advocate publicly for our teachers, our staff, and our students. Well, I hate to break it to you, but these schools and teachers are being hung out to dry by your Republican buddies some of you helped put in office. In national rankings, North Carolina is at the bottom of the barrel in per pupil spending, and teachers are 46th in the nation in average teacher pay. They are leaving our schools in droves. Teachers are telling us about the conditions they're working in. Broken laminators that won't be fixed, broken poster machines that won't be fixed, copy paper not being replaced. Teachers having to buy supplies for impoverished children, teachers buying their own bookshelves, their own surge protectors, teaching tandem classes, 2 at once. Class sizes way too big, not enough support staff, and the list goes on and on and on. All our Title I schools are either Ds or Fs. I would like you all to issue a public statement against the excessive funds going to the voucher program that should be redirected to our public schools. Here are the counties and cities that have already done so: Halifax County, Henderson County, McDowell County, Newton-Conover City, Alexander County, Asheville City, Buncombe County, Burke County, Cabarrus County, Camden County, Chapel Hill, Carrboro City, Chatham County, Clinton County, Cumberland County, Durham Public Schools, Gates County, Guilford County, Madison County, Mooresville Graded School District, Montgomery County Schools, Roanoke Rapids Graded School District, Richmond County, Scotland County, Stanley County, Washington County, Winston-Salem, Forsyth County. Why isn't Union County on this list? Why are you unwilling to publicly advocate for our teachers, staff, and schools? In terms of superintendents, 19 superintendents in a letter to legislators expressing their concerns with the proposed voucher expansion and highlighting the negative impacts the expansion would have on the school districts in their region. The 19 superintendents oversee Gates County, Perquemas County, Bertie County, Beaufort County, Camden County, Currituck County, Dare County, Edenton-Chowan, Elizabeth City, Pasquotank, Halifax County, Hertford County, Hyde County, Martin County, Northampton County, Pitt County, Rowan Rapids Graded School District, Tyrrell County, Washington County, Weldon City Schools. So, Mr. Houlihan, would you please publish a public letter to our legislators? Because the backroom discussions, they're just not cutting it. And as far as the board goes, if you guys are not willing to publish your own resolution, we will be drafting it for you and putting it on your desk each meeting to look at and to sign. Thank you.
Next, I need a motion to approve the open session meeting minutes of March 12th and March 20th. All in favor? Aye. Aye, 8-0. Thank you very much. Next up, I need approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. 8-0. Thank you. Next up is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, board, and good evening, Team UCPS. I hope all of our students, staff, and families had a wonderful spring break. It is hard to believe there are only, I believe, 40 days of school left this year. No one is counting, by the way. I do want to say we've had an exceptional school year so far, and I want to encourage all of us to continue to make each and every day count, put your best foot forward, and let's finish our school year strong. On March 22nd, we named a brand new Books and Brackets winner. Congratulations once again to the students and staff of Poplin Elementary. This year's event was outstanding, and we are looking forward to year 8 in 2025. And a big thank you to all of our phenomenal community sponsors that help support that effort. And finally, it's almost summer because it is time for our annual book drive. We kicked off our drive yesterday. It will run through April 22nd. For several years now, we have partnered with Promising Pages to collect new and gently used books to help fill up our mobile book bus, which will roll out in June. Our drop-off locations are located on the website, on our homepage, or in the announcements section. And there's also information on our social media pages. Board members, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is the proposed 2024 bond request.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as Mr. Moore comes up, this evening, we are excited to present a 2024 bond request for consideration by you first of the Board of Education with subsequent approval and a resolution to be sent to the Board of County Commissioners that would be heard at their meeting next Monday. There are a couple of projects listed on this that will not surprise anyone on this table or probably not our community, as they are long-standing projects that have been in the works now for several years. So at this time, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Colin Moore, who is our Assistant Superintendent of Operations. He's going to go through a brief presentation with you and answer any questions. And this is obviously an action item. So, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Dr. Houlihan. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I do have some information tonight on our 2024 construction bond request. As you remember, we had a successful campaign in 2022 that allowed us to do 2 replacement schools here in Union County Public Schools. So you have at your seats and in your board docs a revised long-range plan. I would field any questions you may have related to that long-range bond, that long-range plan. It's hard to see up on the screen. So if you have any questions about that, I'd be glad to answer those, or at the end, either one. So we've got here our construction bond request. We have 3 projects, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on those on the following slides. But we have design for Parkwood High School. We call that our phase 1. We are currently in the phase 1 process of East Union Middle School, which is the design of a relocation of East Union to the Forest Hills campus. And then we have some funding that we're requesting for program contingency and management. And again, I'll give you a little bit more detail on those projects. So the Parkwood High School is a replacement for an aging facility. This part of the funding includes design work only, and we are asking as part of this funding to allow to proceed with that. We anticipate about 15 months for the design of Parkwood High School, and we have a cost of $10,705,804. The second project is phase 2 at East Union Middle School. This is a construction project, repurposing of the existing Forest Hills High for relocation there by East Union Middle School. As you remember, Forest Hills High School is currently under construction, a replacement to the existing high school. When we vacate that building, we propose to do a significant renovation to the existing facility and relocate East Union Middle School to this campus to allow the high and the middle to be on the same property. We anticipate 18 months to complete construction from a notice to proceed, and we anticipate a notice to proceed in the summer of 2025. The anticipated cost for this project is $27,567,447. And the final project is a program contingency and management fee. We typically carry a contingency on these projects of about 3%. We would also use this money to do management of the projects. The cost of that is $1,148,197. And with that, that's my presentation. Be glad to field any questions you may have.
So just looking over, I mean, $10 million sounds very high for a design project, right? When I think the construction one was 20 something million. So help me understand, it says that they'll be going over an assessment of the existing facilities to determine the final scope. Like, help me just understand 10 million.
Okay. Yes. Very fair question. So the land that we would use for Parkwood replacement has already been purchased. This land was purchased by UCPS in the last couple of years. I forget the date, but the $10 million is typically done is calculated based on the anticipated construction cost. Construction cost for a new high school now is upwards of $110, $115 million. By the time the inflation kicks in, by the time we would build it, would be a little bit more. the typical, and we would negotiate a contract with an architectural firm once someone is selected, but that's typically between 5 and 8% of the construction cost. In addition to that, we would have some ancillary costs such as testing and some other areas that we will want to do some subsurface exploration of the existing site. So if you do the math on about a $120 million project, then it's in the ballpark of $10 million. And it's going up, yes. Whereas the East Union Middle School project has a budget of $27 million for the construction, that design cost is in the $1.3 to $1.8 million range.
So many of our high schools have the same overall design, right? It seems like we're rinse, wash, repeat. Is that not being considered for this as well?
The Forest Hills High School project is kind of gets off of that template that we used at some of our newer high schools. There are a lot more design criteria that go into the new high schools. So we are taking those into consideration as we design this facility. It would not mimic necessarily the high schools that we built in the 2000s. You're welcome.
It's my understanding, we are also, final decisions haven't been made. We were also looking at expanding the capacity of a new Parkwood due to growth in the Waxhaw area. This contingency anticipates a larger high school if and when this board decides formally to move forward with a larger capacity.
Yes, sir, it does. We anticipated an additional capacity of Parkwood High School and factored that into our estimate for the design
Because
cost.
it's going to go up 3 stories, right?
Capacity, yeah,
stories.
Yeah,
yes, it
3
will be,
stories.
yes, it
That's
will
what I'm,
be.
yeah.
Yeah. We anticipate a multi-story high school building.
We talk about in this county that growth has a cost. And this particular project, Parkwood, is just the beginning of that cost, because you can't build elementary schools to handle overcapacity if they don't have a place to go to middle school and high school. So you almost start, or you call it reverse, but you start and work your way down with the high school and then middle schools with additional capacity and elementary schools that will feed that high school. This is the first step in addressing, in my mind anyway, this is the first step in addressing the growth on the western side of the county, particularly the Waxhaw area, which would be in the Parkwood cluster, for at least part.
Colin, do you recall what the cost was for the design of Forest Hills?
Mr. Price, I off the top of my head, I do not remember, but I want to say it was in the $4 to $6 million range.
I was thinking 5 or 6. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering why the difference.
Well, the amount of money, as we mentioned, we're increasing the capacity, and the cost of the design for Forest Hills, construction costs have significantly increased in the last 3 years. And we have the anticipated construction cost for Parkwood is significantly more than where we were for Forest Hills. The Forest Hills contract was about, the construction contract was about 94 million. So yes, it was less, but with the increased cost of Parkwood, that's where we're running into those issues. No more questions? That's it.
Would the chair be prepared to entertain a motion to approve this bond request to forward on to the county? I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is the policies and guidelines for
Good evening, members of the board. Today you have before you 5 policies with proposed revisions and then 1 new proposed policy. I will try and answer any questions that anyone might have. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Here's board comments. Next up is board comments. So I have 1. I have a shout out for Brian Rudolph, a teacher at Forest Hills High School. Mr. Rudolph was elected the executive director of the North Carolina Associate of School Councils. The NCASC is an organization that connects student leaders across the state to share ideas and offer leadership training. I went to the North Carolina conference at Sun Valley High School this year and was amazed by our students across North Carolina. The prior director retired after 39 years. It is an honor to have a UCPS teacher at the helm of this organization. Thank you to Mr. Rudolph. Yes. Any board comments to anyone before announcements? You have one? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As Finance Chair, I'd just like to give my own personal take on our budget challenges moving forward into the new fiscal year. As you may recall, there are basically two pieces to our budget, which is made up of federal, state, and local funding. We have a capital portion, which is basically to maintain, fix, repair our buildings, chillers that go out, roofs that need to be replaced, vehicles for service that need to be replaced, et cetera. And then our operating, of which the vast majority are salaries of our staff. In our joint meeting, you will recall that at the current tax rate, the anticipated additional revenue to UCPS would equal 4.6 million and change. I like to round off numbers to keep it simple. Well, that's great, 4.6 over last year. But that doesn't take into account an increase in what we refer to as mandatory costs. For example, $1 million we're anticipating increase in funding to charter schools, of which last year we funneled 14 million. So this next year we're anticipating $15 million. So of $122 million operating budget, 15 will come right off the top to charter schools. We also have pay increases for locally funded employees, including benefits. Now, most people or some people think that the state funds all teacher salaries. Well, the state has formulas as to how many employees they will fund. And unfortunately, our school system could not operate with those employees funded by the state only. We have locally funded employees, which means we use our operating funds to pay their salaries and benefits. And when the state provides an increase, we match it. When benefit costs go up, we have to pay those. We also have other cost increases like insurance, utilities, etc. So in round numbers, of that 4.6 million increase we're alleged to see this year, about 4.5 million of that goes right out the door in mandated costs. So that basically leaves us with $100,000 in new money, if you will. So to provide a increase in our local supplement, which is woefully lacking of other districts in our area, CMS, and other surrounding districts, as well as we have the unique challenge of being right on the border with South Carolina. So we are competing with their higher salary structure as well. Just to provide a $1,200 increase in supplement for our teachers, $100 a month before taxes, that runs to $4.884 million. Let me say that again. $100 a month supplement increase for our teachers, our certified staff, is around right at 4.9 million, a little bit more than the 100,000 in new money. Now the state passed for this year a 4% pay raise, right? Well, that's on average. If you read the fine print, that's not 4% across the board. That's skewed. younger, more inexperienced teachers actually saw a dollar. It had more of an impact than 4%. And unfortunately, our more experienced teachers suffered less than 4%, but it was a 4% on average. And frankly, conversations with our local delegation about increasing funding, our very successful tutoring program, have yet to yield any fruit. Let me say that way. So what are the consequences? Teachers leave to districts with higher pay, like CMS or South Carolina, or they leave the teaching profession. So the end result is larger classroom sizes, because we are not going to have a classroom start the school year without a teacher in it. So we all know what's going to happen with higher classroom sizes. Students get less attention because that class that was maybe 25 is now 35 or what have you. So less individualized help for students that need it. Despite all this, I'm confident that our superintendent, our senior staff, and this board will find a way to increase in this year's budget our teacher supplement. And personally, I can only speak for myself, I will not support or I will not vote for a budget that does not have an increase in teacher supplements. Well, thank you. I didn't expect that. But, you know, at some point in this county, we have to decide how important is public education. We have the best school system in North Carolina, I firmly believe. And are we, elected officials that make the decisions, are going to make the tough ones that it's going to take to keep us at number one? Thank you.
Any other board comments? No. Okay, announcements? Can I go first? Okay. We have another board meeting this month, April 23rd at 6 p.m. at the PDC. I have policy committee April 16th at 8 o'clock via Zoom. Yes, the Union County Education Foundation is having an event called Black Tie and Blue Jeans on April 19th at Firethorn Country Club. It's a fun fundraiser for our school system. Join us if you can. Go to their website, ucedfoundation.org for tickets. It's fun. Yes? Anybody else?
The Strategic Planning, Information Technology, and Transportation Committee meeting is scheduled to meet April 24th at 8 a.m. via Zoom.
Facilities is meeting also April 24th at 9 a.m. via Zoom, and curriculum at 10 a.m. also on the 24th via Zoom. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.